Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Badra Yoga, Gemini rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Gemini Ascendants ruled by Mercury itself, which governs intelligence, adaptability, speech, and analytical brilliance, Bhadra Yoga becomes deeply personal and central to the chart. Here, Mercury doesn't just contribute to Bhadra Yoga, it rules over the entire life path. The balance between Mercury's dignity, own or exalted sign in Kendra, and its planetary influences, aspects, conjunctions, dispositorship, creates a fusion of sharp intellect with powerful leadership, commercial mastery, and communication-based authority. The successful manifestation of Bhadra Yoga for Gemini rising depends on how strongly Mercury is supported to stabilize the quick, restless, and multitasking tendencies inherent to Gemini. Rule application, Kendra placement, and dignity. For Gemini Lagna, Mercury rules both the first house, self, physical identity, life direction, and fourth house, Virgo, home, emotions, stability. Bhadra Yoga occurs most powerfully when Mercury is in Gemini, first house, own sign, or Virgo, fourth house, exalted, both of which naturally fall into Kendras. Thus, Gemini rising is one of the most favorable configurations for Bhadra Yoga to occur in its classical, strongest form. Here, Mercury represents both the body and the mind, making intellectual, academic, and leadership pursuits dominate the native's life expression. Mercury, first and fourth lord, in Gemini, first house, own sign, fully unafflicted. Mercury in own sign in Lagna creates razor-sharp intellect, excellent communication skills, and natural leadership through speech, writing, business, or education. The native is intellectually brilliant, highly adaptable, and socially versatile, thriving in professions like media, teaching, politics, or financial markets. This is pure Bhadra Yoga at its finest, intelligence combined with charm and calculated decision-making. Mercury, first and fourth lord, in Virgo, fourth house, exalted and unafflicted. Exalted Mercury in fourth house gives the native exceptional analytical control over property, education, and emotional stability. The native excels as an academic, administrator, or strategist, often attaining high positions in government, finance, real estate, or consulting. This version of Bhadra Yoga grounds Mercury's agile mind into long-term stability and practical accomplishment. Jupiter, 7th and 10th lord, in Sagittarius, 7th house, own sign, directly aspecting Lagna and supporting Mercury. Jupiter as Kendra lord provides wisdom, righteousness, and dharmic direction. Its mutual Kendra relationship with Mercury creates highly principled leaders who excel as counselors, negotiators, or judges. The native gains recognition for integrity, fair leadership, and profound strategic judgment. Venus, 5th and 12th lord, in Taurus, 12th house, own sign, harmonizing Mercury's intellectual expansion. Venus enhances Mercury's diplomacy, creativity, and financial management. In 12th house, it brings foreign connections, artistic flair, and spiritual refinement, allowing Mercury's intellectual pursuits to extend into international diplomacy, publishing, or philanthropy. The native may gain from foreign ventures, luxury trades, or educational institutions. Moon, 2nd lord, in Taurus, 12th house, exalted and disposed by Venus. Exalted moon strengthens financial instincts, emotional intelligence, and eloquence. It supports Mercury's sharp mind with intuitive grace, making the native an excellent speaker, negotiator, and teacher. The native may accumulate wealth through consulting, advisory work, or intellectual leadership roles with an emotionally stabilizing presence. Mars, 6th and 11th lord, in Aries, 11th house, own sign, fueling Mercury's social and financial ambition. Mars in 11th provides bold action in acquiring wealth, allies, and political clout. Its association with Mercury's Bhadra Yoga empowers business expansion, large-scale organizations, and entrepreneurial success. The native may thrive in leadership roles involving technology, trade, or corporate governance. Saturn, 8th and 9th lord, in Capricorn, 8th house, own sign, stabilizing Mercury's depth and responsibility. Saturn here provides depth of knowledge, control over shared resources, and karmic endurance. Its stabilizing influence helps Mercury's Bhadra Yoga evolve into sustained success, particularly in research, long-term investments, or legal professions. Saturn ensures the native's sharp intellect is applied with ethical responsibility. Rahu in Aries, 11th house, amplifying Mercury's ambition. Rahu strengthens Mercury's drive for social expansion and innovation. The native may rise through unconventional methods, disruptive technologies, or bold reforms. When properly guided by Jupiter's wisdom, Rahu turns Mercury's intelligence into cutting-edge leadership that shapes industries or governments. Ketu in Libra, 5th house, disposed by Venus. Ketu adds creative detachment, spiritual insight, and intuitive brilliance to Mercury's intellectual sharpness. The native may excel in academic research, teaching, or spiritual leadership, balancing material achievement with philosophical depth, and often becoming a guide for others through both worldly success and inner wisdom. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Badra Yoga, Virgo rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Virgo ascendants, ruled by Mercury representing precision, discrimination, analysis, and service, the formation of Bhadra Yoga strikes directly at the center of their personality and life path. Here, Mercury governs both identity and emotional foundation. When placed in strength, own or exalted dignity in Kendra, supported by planetary influences, aspects, conjunctions, dispositorship, Badra Yoga transforms Virgo natives into master strategists, healers, administrators, and financial experts. This yoga converts Mercury's natural inclination for analysis and service into bold leadership, intellectual command, and mastery over complex systems. Rule application. Kendra placement and dignity. For Virgo Lagna, Mercury rules both the 1st house, body, personality, and the 10th house, Gemini, career, authority, public standing. Bhadra Yoga forms when Mercury is in Virgo, 1st house, exalted and own sign simultaneously, or Gemini, 10th house, own sign, both naturally falling into Kendras. This makes Virgo rising highly capable of forming classical Bhadra Yoga at full potency, where Mercury's Karaka qualities define both the native's nature and their destiny. Mercury, 1st and 10th Lord, in Virgo, 1st house, exalted and unafflicted. Mercury in Virgo Lagna delivers highly refined intellect, superior analytical ability, strong health, and outstanding decision-making skills. The native excels as a perfectionist leader, capable of managing institutions, healthcare, finance, or technology sectors. This is pure Bhadra Yoga, granting exceptional command over both personal life and career through intelligence, precision, and practical thinking. Mercury, 1st and 10th Lord. In Gemini, 10th house, own sign, unafflicted. Mercury in its own sign in the 10th house gives tremendous career success, professional authority, and public recognition as a master communicator, negotiator, or strategist. The native may become highly influential in media, education, legal fields, or corporate leadership, where quick thinking and public interaction drive their rise. Jupiter, 4th and 7th Lord, in Sagittarius, 4th house, own sign, forming Kendra strength with Mercury's. Jupiter's placement in own sign brings ethical wisdom, higher learning, and emotional stability into Mercury's leadership. This combination produces highly respected administrators, counselors, or educators who command respect for both intellectual sharpness and moral integrity. The native's rise comes through a combination of practical brilliance and dharmic guidance. Venus, 2nd and 9th Lord, in Taurus, 9th house, own sign, harmonizing Mercury's intellectual expansion. Venus strengthens wealth, good fortune, and public grace. It balances Mercury's critical nature with charm, diplomacy, and artistic refinement. This combination favors educators, spiritual guides, financial consultants, or global negotiators who command wealth, reputation, and social harmony through their polished intellectual and social skills. Moon, 11th Lord in Taurus, 9th house, exalted and forming Kama Trikona with Mercury. Exalted Moon promotes emotional clarity, supportive networks, and fortunate alliances. The native balances financial gains with emotional intelligence, becoming skilled in advisory roles, wealth management, or public leadership that combines empathy with sharp analytical control. Mars, 3rd and 8th Lord in Aries, 8th house, own sign, empowering Mercury's strategic intelligence. Mars in 8th brings courage to face hidden challenges, manage crisis situations, and control joint resources. Mars's connection to Mercury's Bhadra Yoga supports research-oriented careers, financial management, surgery, or high-stakes business leadership, requiring fearless yet precise decision-making. Saturn, 5th and 6th Lord in Capricorn, 5th house, own sign, grounding Mercury's analytical creativity. Saturn in own sign brings discipline to Mercury's creativity, stabilizing speculative ventures, children's welfare, and intellectual output. The native develops structured leadership in education, government, or large organizations, maintaining ethical standards while exercising tremendous problem-solving ability. Rahu in Aries, 8th house, amplifying Mercury's control over hidden domains. Rahu intensifies Mercury's investigative and research-oriented skills. The native may achieve mastery over finance, law, healing, or international markets where complexity and risk-taking require deep intellect and sharp calculation. Jupiter's guidance is crucial to prevent unethical manipulations. Ketu in Libra, 2nd house, disposed by Venus Ketu, in 2nd allows detachment from material obsession while maintaining sharp financial judgment. The native accumulates wealth not from greed but from skillful management, often becoming advisors, financial planners, or spiritual teachers who balance material success with karmic responsibility. Venus's influence refines speech and personal charm, enhancing Mercury's leadership presence. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Badra Yoga, Sagittarius rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Sagittarius ascendants, ruled by Jupiter representing Dharma, wisdom, and expansion, the manifestation of Badra Yoga through Mercury introduces sharp intellect, analytical precision, and commercial acumen into their natural idealism and broad vision. Sagittarius natives are driven by principles and higher knowledge, but Mercury brings in detailed execution, negotiation skill, and practical mastery. The balance between Mercury's strength, own or exalted dignity in Kendra, and planetary influences, dispositorship, aspects, conjunctions, determines whether this intellectual brilliance is grounded into real-world authority and success. Rule application, Kendra placement and dignity. For Sagittarius Lagna, Mercury rules the 7th house, Gemini, partnerships, public life, business contracts, and 10th house, Virgo, career, reputation, leadership. Bhadra Yoga for Sagittarius rising occurs powerfully when Mercury occupies Virgo, 10th house, exalted, or Gemini, 7th house, own sign. Both are Kendras and both directly rule major houses of public life, giving the native outstanding ability to rise through public leadership, legal mastery, business alliances, or intellectual authority. Mercury, 7th and 10th Lord, in Virgo, 10th house, exalted and unafflicted. Exalted Mercury in the 10th house forms one of the strongest Badra Yogas for Sagittarius rising. The native gains exceptional career rise, flawless public image, mastery in administration, legal affairs, consulting, or business management. This yoga makes the native highly respected for their problem-solving ability, diplomatic talent, and ability to handle complex systems with calm authority. Mercury, 7th and 10th Lord, in Gemini, 7th house, own sign, unafflicted. Mercury in Gemini 7th house sharpens the native's negotiation skills, partnerships, and legal command. This Badra Yoga produces highly skilled diplomats, lawyers, marriage counselors, and international business leaders who thrive on communication, contracts, and alliances. The native excels in building mutually beneficial relationships and commanding public respect through tactful leadership. Jupiter, Lagna Lord, in Sagittarius, 1st house, own sign, guiding Mercury's action toward Dharma. Jupiter's strength in Lagna provides moral guidance, wisdom, and ethical discipline. Its relationship with Mercury's Badra Yoga ensures that all intellectual mastery is aligned with dharmic principles, producing leaders who balance practical decision-making with philosophical vision and social responsibility. Venus, 6th and 11th Lord in Taurus, 6th house, own sign, stabilizing Mercury's competitive edge. Venus supports Mercury by softening competitive tendencies, enhancing diplomacy, and attracting wealth through refined negotiation and cooperative business ventures. This combination benefits legal careers, political leadership, or medical fields, where Mercury's analytical skill is balanced by Venus's social finesse. Moon, 8th Lord in Taurus, 6th house, exalted and supporting Mercury's crisis management. Exalted Moon brings emotional resilience and grace under pressure. Its influence on Mercury helps the native handle crises, negotiations, and conflicts with calm authority. This enhances the native's ability to manage litigation, medical leadership, or high-stakes financial decisions with both intellect and emotional wisdom. Mars, 5th and 12th Lord, in Aries, 5th house, own sign, energizing Mercury's creativity. Mars in Aries' 5th house brings fearless creativity, bold intellectual leadership, and speculative courage. Its harmonious relationship with Mercury creates highly dynamic strategists, educators, or business innovators who combine tactical bravery with sharp analysis. Saturn, second and third lord, in Capricorn, second house, own sign, grounding Mercury's financial management. Saturn's placement offers strong financial discipline, careful wealth accumulation, and steady growth. It anchors Mercury's intellect into long-term material success, enabling the native to excel in financial advisory roles, corporate leadership, or government service requiring careful planning and high ethical standards. Rahu in Gemini, seventh house, conjunct Mercury, if placed here. Rahu's presence with Mercury amplifies ambition in partnerships, politics, and diplomacy. The native becomes a highly persuasive public figure, capable of bold moves in business alliances or international negotiations. Proper Jupiterian guidance channels this ambition into sustainable and ethical leadership. Ketu in Sagittarius, first house, disposed by Jupiter. Ketu's detachment in Lagna allows the native to remain inwardly humble while achieving external success. Disposed by a strong Jupiter, this combination fosters spiritual balance, allowing Mercury's Badra Yoga to function at its highest, serving not just personal gain, but public welfare, education, and ethical reform. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Bhadra Yoga, Pisces rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Pisces ascendants, ruled by Jupiter, representing spiritual wisdom, compassion, and higher consciousness, the formation of Badra Yoga through Mercury introduces sharp intellect, refined speech, and powerful analytical capacity into an otherwise intuitive, emotionally driven, and idealistic nature. While Pisces tends toward faith and imagination, Badra Yoga gives it practical grounding, enabling the native to function as a strategist, communicator, and intellectual leader. The successful realization of Badra Yoga depends on Mercury's strength, own exalted dignity in Kendra, and the stabilizing influences that help the native balance their spiritual aspirations with real-world execution. Rule application, Kendra placement and dignity. For Pisces Lagna, Mercury rules the fourth house, Gemini, education, emotional security, real estate, and the seventh house, Virgo, partnerships, business, public standing. Badra Yoga arises powerfully when Mercury is placed in Virgo, seventh house, exalted, or Gemini, fourth house, own sign. Both positions fall into Kendras, and both give Mercury tremendous control over career, relationships, education, and public reputation. For Pisces, this yoga provides the capacity to translate vision into structured leadership and sharp diplomacy. Mercury, fourth and seventh lord, in Virgo, seventh house, exalted and unafflicted. Exalted Mercury in the seventh house produces exceptional business acumen, diplomatic mastery, and legal expertise. The native excels in partnerships, negotiations, and public roles requiring analytical judgment and smooth communication. This is a classical Badra Yoga that supports leaders in law, counseling, finance, or international business. The native gains through strategic alliances while earning public respect for their intelligence and fairness. Mercury, fourth and seventh lord, in Gemini, fourth house, own sign, unafflicted. Mercury in its own sign in the fourth house gives intellectual stability, excellent academic success, and mastery over property, education, or homeland affairs. The native excels in real estate, education, or governance roles, where both knowledge and negotiation create steady authority. This placement blends Mercury's intellect with Pisces' natural intuition, resulting in calm but highly effective leadership. Jupiter, Lagna Lord, in Pisces, first house, own sign, providing dharmic guidance to Mercury. Jupiter's strength in Lagna acts as the ethical and spiritual compass for Mercury's Badra Yoga. The native combines sharp intellect with compassion and service. Jupiter ensures Mercury's cleverness is used for upliftment, allowing the native to excel as a teacher, healer, consultant, or public leader who balances spiritual values with sharp pragmatism. Venus, third and eighth lord, in Taurus, third house, own sign, refining Mercury's speech and negotiation. Venus provides creativity, artistic flair, and harmonious communication, enhancing Mercury's intellectual abilities with grace and diplomacy. This combination allows the native to thrive in writing, media, business consulting, or legal negotiation, where a gentle but persuasive style brings long-term influence and public appeal. Moon, fifth lord in Taurus, third house, exalted and disposed by Venus. Exalted moon boosts creative intelligence, memory, and social charisma. The native becomes emotionally balanced, highly creative, and persuasive in communication. Mercury's intellect combined with Moon's emotional wisdom produces gifted counselors, educators, or public speakers. Mars, second and ninth lord in Aries' second house, own sign, supporting Mercury's financial authority. Mars in own sign empowers Mercury's financial judgment, wealth accumulation, and leadership through family or business enterprises. The native becomes financially astute with the ability to manage both resources and partnerships effectively. Mars's boldness complements Mercury's careful calculations, creating dynamic financial leaders or successful entrepreneurs. Saturn 11th and 12th lord in Capricorn, 11th house, own sign, grounding Mercury's ambitions. Saturn stabilizes long-term gains, alliances, and professional networks. Its influence ensures that Mercury's Badra Yoga brings not just short-term success, but lasting institutions, organizations, or political power. The native builds powerful networks and maintains disciplined authority over large enterprises or advisory roles. Rahu in Virgo, 7th house, conjunct exalted Mercury, if placed here. Rahu magnifies Mercury's diplomatic ambition, making the native extremely skilled in public relations, legal negotiations, or corporate leadership. If guided by Jupiter's ethical vision, this combination produces reformers or high-ranking public officials who command massive followings. Without balance, it may risk manipulative tendencies or unstable partnerships. Ketu in Pisces, first house, disposed by Jupiter. Ketu in Lagna allows the native to remain inwardly detached from personal ambition while still achieving intellectual authority. Disposed by a strong Jupiter, this combination creates spiritual leaders, counselors, or global advisors who skillfully blend sharp intelligence with deep humility, making their Badra Yoga a tool for both material success and higher service. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Hamsa Yoga, Aries rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Aries ascendants, ruled by Mars, symbolizing action, aggression, and bold leadership, the formation of Hamsa Yoga through Jupiter introduces spiritual wisdom, ethics, compassion, and long-term vision into their naturally forceful personality. While Aries tends toward fast action and personal ambition, Hamsa Yoga brings moral elevation, dharmic guidance, and higher purpose. The true power of Hamsa Yoga for Aries depends on Jupiter's strength, own exalted dignity in Kendra, and the planetary environment that determines whether Mars's ambition is balanced by Jupiter's wisdom. Rule application, Kendra placement and dignity. For Aries Lagna, Jupiter rules the 9th house, Sagittarius, Dharma, fortune, higher knowledge, and the 12th house, Pisces, moksha, foreign lands, spiritual liberation. Hamsa Yoga forms when Jupiter occupies Pisces, 12th house, own sign, or Cancer, 4th house, exalted. Both are Kendras for Aries Lagna, allowing the classical version of Hamsa Yoga to occur. This yoga uplifts the Aries native from impulsive self-interest to righteous leadership, profound teaching, and deeply ethical execution of power. Jupiter, 9th and 12th lord, in Pisces, 12th house, own sign, unafflicted. Jupiter in its own sign in the 12th house creates a deeply spiritual version of Hamsa Yoga. The native becomes inwardly detached, highly compassionate, and potentially involved in global humanitarian work, foreign missions, spiritual institutions, or healing professions. This placement favors philosophical teachers, monks, or globally recognized reformers whose life direction shifts from personal ambition to universal service. Jupiter, 9th and 12th lord in Cancer, 4th house, exalted and unafflicted. Exalted Jupiter in the 4th house grants supreme inner peace, emotional balance, and mastery over real estate, education, or institutions of public welfare. This is one of the most powerful Hamsa Yoga placements for Aries rising. The native becomes a true guide or caretaker, excelling as a teacher, counselor, political leader, or institutional head whose authority rests on wisdom, ethics, and protection of the masses. Mars, Lagna Lord in Aries, 1st house, own sign, coordinating with Jupiter's dharmic power. Mars in own sign strengthens personal drive, health, and courage. In harmony with Jupiter's exaltation or own sign, this combination produces righteous warriors, judicial leaders, spiritual activists, or high-ranking administrators who combine moral authority with decisive action. The native leads both by example and by principle. Moon, 4th lord, in Taurus, 2nd house, exalted and stabilizing Jupiter's compassionate vision. Exalted moon enhances emotional security, financial stability, and refined speech. The native is deeply respected for wise counsel, nurturing leadership, and the ability to generate wealth for ethical causes. The moon's stability supports Jupiter's expansive wisdom, making the native both materially successful and emotionally balanced. Venus, second and seventh lord, in Taurus, second house, own sign, adding diplomacy to Jupiter's ethics. Venus strengthens family prosperity, wealth management, and marital harmony. When Venus supports Jupiter's Hamsa Yoga, the native excels in combining spiritual values with business acumen, becoming leaders who successfully balance ethical wealth building with societal welfare. Mercury, third and sixth lord, in Gemini, third house, own sign, sharpening Jupiter's practical communication. Mercury enhances communication, negotiation, and detailed management. This gives the native the ability to practically execute Jupiter's lofty ideals through precise organization, administration, and public communication. The native may serve as an educator, legal expert, or public administrator. Saturn, 10th and 11th lord, in Capricorn, 10th house, own sign, providing disciplined leadership. Saturn's strong placement anchors Jupiter's Hamsa Yoga into lasting professional success, institutional leadership, and organizational authority. This creates highly respected heads of institutions, political leaders, or judges who serve public systems with integrity, discipline, and long-term vision. Rahu in Virgo, 6th house, amplifying Jupiter's global mission through service. Rahu intensifies Jupiter's reach into humanitarian service, foreign work, or institutional reform. If supported by Jupiter's wisdom, Rahu leads to global influence in legal, educational, or spiritual institutions. Without guidance, Rahu may produce overexpansion or idealistic overreach. Ketu in Pisces, 12th house, conjunct Jupiter if placed here. Ketu's conjunction with Jupiter in the 12th creates powerful spiritual renunciation, deep intuition, and karmic detachment from material rewards. The native may become a world-renowned spiritual guide, healer, or philosopher who influences large populations while remaining inwardly detached from fame or wealth, fulfilling the highest expression of Hamsa Yoga. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Hamsa Yoga, Gemini rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Gemini Ascendants, ruled by Mercury, representing intellect, versatility, and quick adaptability, the formation of Hamsa Yoga through Jupiter introduces a stabilizing current of wisdom, dharma, compassion, and ethical depth into their highly analytical and often restless nature. While Gemini tends to thrive on variety and intellectual stimulation, Hamsa Yoga anchors this versatility into higher purpose, spiritual maturity, and principled leadership. The full flowering of this yoga depends on Jupiter's strength, own exalted dignity and Kendra, and whether the native can align intellectual sharpness with moral clarity. Rule application, Kendra placement and dignity. For Gemini Lagna, Jupiter rules the 7th house, Sagittarius, partnerships, public roles, negotiations, and the 10th house, Pisces, career, public authority, karma. Hamsa Yoga forms classically when Jupiter occupies Pisces, 10th house, own sign, or Cancer, 2nd house, exalted. Both are Kendras for Gemini rising, making this a highly favorable chart for Hamsa Yoga to express directly into the native's public authority, partnerships, and leadership profile. Jupiter, 7th and 10th lord, in Pisces, 10th house, own sign, unafflicted. Jupiter in its own sign in the 10th house is one of the finest placements for Hamsa Yoga in Gemini rising. The native rises as a respected authority, counselor, or administrative head, known for principled leadership, ethical business practices, and guiding others through complex decisions. This combination supports powerful judges, educators, legal experts, religious leaders, or government administrators who integrate wisdom with public responsibility. Jupiter, 7th and 10th lord, in Cancer, 2nd house, exalted and unafflicted. Exalted Jupiter in the 2nd house grants great wealth, brilliant speech, and powerful family or institutional legacy. The native becomes an eloquent speaker, moral guide, and capable financial administrator. This version of Hamsa Yoga gives prominence in financial leadership, law, banking, education, or spiritual leadership, where the native's speech and wealth serve as tools for righteous influence. Mercury, Lagna Lord in Gemini, 1st house, own sign, directly controlling Jupiter's expression. Mercury's strong placement in Lagna gives sharp intellect, adaptability, and masterful communication. When balanced by Jupiter's dignified position, the native becomes a wise communicator, balancing detail with ethical vision. Mercury channels Jupiter's expansive ideals into practical governance, business deals, and legal frameworks that elevate public trust. Venus, 5th and 12th Lord in Taurus, 12th house, own sign, harmonizing Jupiter's spiritual expansion. Venus's placement brings spiritual depth, charitable inclinations, and refined emotional intelligence. The native excels in philanthropic ventures, international diplomacy, or cultural leadership, blending Jupiter's dharma with Venusian grace and creativity. This supports careers involving global education, spiritual travel, or nonprofit leadership. Moon, 2nd Lord, in Taurus, 12th house, exalted and enhancing Jupiter's material and emotional stability. Exalted moon stabilizes Jupiter's Hamsa Yoga by strengthening family wealth, public speaking, and emotional balance. The native earns trust through both intellectual sharpness and emotional depth, becoming a respected mediator, educator, or financial leader with strong humanitarian instincts. Mars, 6th and 11th Lord, in Aries, 11th house, own sign, energizing Jupiter's leadership networks. Mars in 11th promotes courage, strategic alliances, and leadership in group organizations. Combined with Hamsa Yoga, this fuels success in legal leadership, political movements, corporate boards, or government reform. The native uses courage and sharp networks to advance dharmic leadership with global reach. Saturn, 8th and 9th Lord, in Capricorn, 8th house, own sign, grounding Jupiter's karmic mission. Saturn in its own sign stabilizes deep knowledge, crisis management, and transformation. Its relationship to Jupiter strengthens the native's long-term rise, giving mastery in financial restructuring, legal reform, or governance that transforms institutions while maintaining dharmic integrity. Rahu in Aries, 11th house, amplifying Jupiter's global impact. Rahu empowers bold expansion into international leadership, political influence, or technological reform. When properly guided by Jupiter, this combination produces global leaders, spiritual entrepreneurs, or social reformers who attract mass followings while advancing righteous causes. Ketu in Libra, 5th house, disposed by Venus. Ketu's detachment in the 5th house brings profound creative wisdom, intuitive leadership, and detachment from ego-driven recognition. Disposed by Venus, this balances Mercury's intellectual drive with humility, allowing Jupiter's Hamsa Yoga to flourish through creative service, education, or spiritual teaching. The native often becomes a guide for others, balancing public acclaim with inner detachment. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Hamsa Yoga, Cancer rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Cancer ascendants, ruled by the moon, representing emotions, nurturing, and sensitivity, the formation of Hamsa Yoga through Jupiter brings profound stability, wisdom, and expansive dharmic protection to their otherwise fluctuating emotional core. Cancer natives naturally seek security, connection, and care-based leadership. Hamsa Yoga empowers them with ethical strength, spiritual clarity, and leadership authority. The manifestation of this yoga depends on Jupiter's strength, own or exalted dignity in Kendra, and how supporting planets balance emotional softness with righteous authority. Rule application. Kendra placement and dignity. For Cancer Lagna, Jupiter rules the 6th house, Sagittarius, service, competition, health, debt, and the 9th house, Pisces, higher knowledge, fortune, dharma. Hamsa Yoga forms classically when Jupiter is in Pisces, 9th house, own sign, or Cancer, 1st house, exalted. In Cancer rising, both these placements are exceptionally powerful, as Jupiter directly governs dharma and wisdom, and simultaneously acts as a powerful protector for the Lagna and fortune. Hamsa Yoga here becomes a strong combination of spiritual leadership, social welfare, and high moral stature. Jupiter, 6th and 9th Lord, in Cancer 1st house, exalted and unafflicted. Exalted Jupiter in Lagna forms one of the most pure expressions of Hamsa Yoga. The native is blessed with wisdom, strong health, inner calm, spiritual inclination, and high ethical stature. Such individuals often serve as counselors, spiritual leaders, legal authorities, or heads of educational institutions. This exaltation purifies both the emotional tendencies of Cancer and the expansive dharmic nature of Jupiter, producing compassionate leadership that earns public trust and respect. Jupiter, 6th and 9th Lord, in Pisces, 9th house, own sign, unafflicted. Jupiter in own sign in the 9th house brings supreme dharmic protection, fortune, and higher learning. The native becomes a deeply principled teacher, advisor, or judge. This placement supports long-distance travels, higher education, and roles in law, religion, or academia. Hamsa Yoga here provides the ability to guide society ethically while balancing compassion with justice. Moon, Lagna Lord in Taurus, 11th house, exalted and harmonizing with Jupiter's Dharma. Exalted moon grants emotional stability, wide social support, and popularity. It strengthens Jupiter's ability to lead with compassion and grace. The native develops influential social networks, excels in advisory or counseling professions, and enjoys a large following rooted in both emotional connection and ethical wisdom. Venus, 4th and 11th Lord, in Taurus, 11th house, own sign, refining Jupiter's humanitarian leadership. Venus in own sign promotes material comfort, public recognition, and strong alliances. Combined with Hamsa Yoga, the native rises as a well-loved leader who balances wealth creation with social responsibility. This supports success in politics, diplomacy, or corporate leadership with a strong philanthropic side. Mercury, 3rd and 12th Lord, in Gemini, 12th house, own sign, sharpening Jupiter's global service potential. Mercury's placement supports administrative intelligence, foreign diplomacy, and strategic problem solving. It enables Jupiter's spiritual ideals to manifest in global humanitarian efforts, foreign institutions, or healing professions. Mercury refines the native speech, making them highly persuasive and effective in advisory roles. Mars, 5th and 10th Lord, in Aries, 10th house, own sign, energizing Jupiter's public authority. Mars in own sign strengthens career success, political leadership, and executive authority. In harmony with Hamsa Yoga, Mars provides courage and strategic control, allowing the native to rise as dynamic leaders in government, legal institutions, or public administration, while maintaining ethical governance. Saturn, 7th and 8th Lord, in Capricorn, 7th house, own sign, stabilizing partnerships and dharmic action. Saturn in own sign creates disciplined partnerships, stable marriages, and karmic balance in public life. Its conjunction or aspect to Jupiter ensures long-term stability, patience, and responsible leadership. The native excels in building sustainable institutions, legal systems, or business empires rooted in long-term vision. Rahu in Aries, 10th house, amplifying Jupiter's leadership rise. Rahu's ambition in the 10th house magnifies the native's desire for career prominence. When balanced by Jupiter's dharmic wisdom, this produces political reformers, spiritual leaders, or global administrators who attract widespread public recognition. Unchecked, it may create overexpansion or public controversies, which Jupiter can mitigate if strong. Ketu in Libra, 4th house, disposed by Venus. Ketu in 4th fosters inner detachment and spiritual grounding amidst public success. Disposed by Venus, this allows the native to maintain emotional detachment from personal comforts while remaining fully committed to public service and dharmic leadership, keeping Hamsa Yoga pure and spiritually elevated. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga Hamsa Yoga, Virgo rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Virgo ascendants, ruled by Mercury, embodying analysis, precision, and service, Hamsa Yoga through Jupiter introduces compassion, spiritual maturity, and ethical expansion into their methodical, often highly self-critical nature. Virgo natives excel in details, logic, and correction. Hamsa Yoga elevates these qualities into wisdom, higher purpose, and moral leadership. The full expression of this yoga depends on Jupiter's strength, own exalted dignity in Kendra, and whether the native can integrate both practical service and higher dharmic responsibility. Rule application, Kendra placement and dignity. For Virgo Lagna, Jupiter rules the 4th house, Sagittarius, emotional stability, homeland, education comforts, and 7th house, Pisces, partnerships, business alliances, public life. Hamsa Yoga forms classically when Jupiter occupies Pisces, 7th house, own sign, or Cancer, 11th house, exalted. In Virgo rising, Jupiter's rulership of both emotional security and public partnerships allows Hamsa Yoga to combine ethical leadership with service-oriented administration and relationship mastery. Jupiter, 4th and 7th Lord, in Pisces, 7th house, own sign, unafflicted. Jupiter in own sign in the 7th house produces highly principled, ethical, and diplomatic leadership in both personal and public spheres. The native becomes a wise counselor, legal expert, marriage consultant, or statesman. This form of Hamsa Yoga allows the native to rise to prominence through alliances, business leadership, and public negotiations, grounded in fairness and wisdom. Jupiter, 4th and 7th Lord, in Cancer, 11th house, exalted and unafflicted. Exalted Jupiter in the 11th house brings great wealth, public recognition, and strong networks. The native achieves success through ethical financial management, philanthropic ventures, or corporate leadership. Hamsa Yoga here produces organizational heads, advisors, or social reformers who blend service, wealth building, and social responsibility while maintaining inner contentment and spiritual grounding. Mercury, Lagna Lord in Virgo, 1st house, exalted and directing Jupiter's higher ideals. Mercury's exaltation in Lagna sharpens analytical capacity, intellect, and health awareness. Its coordination with Jupiter's Hamsa Yoga allows the native to translate intellectual precision into ethical public leadership. This combination is excellent for administrative heads, financial strategists, or policymakers who integrate detailed management with broader dharmic vision. Moon, 11th Lord, in Taurus, 9th house, exalted and supporting Jupiter's Dharma. Exalted moon enhances fortune, higher learning, and public favor. Its position adds emotional grace and popularity to Jupiter's wisdom. The native enjoys respect as a public teacher, legal counselor, or leader who combines emotional stability with spiritual vision, creating a harmonious blend of heart and intellect. Venus, 2nd and 9th Lord, in Taurus, 9th house, own sign, elevating Jupiter's spiritual expansion. Venus strengthens wealth, fortune, and ethical refinement. In harmony with Jupiter's Hamsa Yoga, the native becomes a financially successful leader who remains committed to dharmic principles, making significant contributions to education, spirituality, or philanthropic enterprises. Mars, 3rd and 8th Lord, in Aries, 8th house, own sign, adding strategic depth to Jupiter's leadership. Mars in 8th house enhances the native's ability to manage hidden resources, crisis situations, and complex legal or financial systems. In combination with Hamsa Yoga, the native may become a crisis manager, reformer, or advisor with deep knowledge of transformation and resource management. Saturn, 5th and 6th Lord in Capricorn, 5th house, own sign, grounding Jupiter's creative authority. Saturn provides discipline, patience, and structured intellectual output. Together with Hamsa Yoga, this supports leadership in education, public administration, or institutional governance, where long-term policy building and intellectual discipline create enduring legacies. Rahu in Aries, 8th house, intensifying Jupiter's ability to handle transformation. Rahu amplifies the native's courage in managing difficult circumstances such as legal reform, institutional changes, or corporate mergers. When guided by Jupiter's ethics, this combination produces transformative leaders who embrace karmic challenges and elevate organizations to higher standards. Ketu in Libra, 2nd house, disposed by Venus-Ketu's detachment in the 2nd house, fosters wise financial management without greed. Disposed by Venus, it refines speech, values, and wealth accumulation. The native balances prosperity with contentment, using Jupiter's Hamsa Yoga for spiritual growth, teaching, or counseling, while maintaining a pure approach to both wealth and service. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Ruchaka Yoga, Aries rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Aries ascendants, ruled by Mars, the planet of action, courage, and initiative, the distinction between raw strength by exaltation, own sign, Kendra placement, and planetary influence through conjunction, aspect, and dispositorship is absolutely crucial. Aries is a sign of boldness, self-leadership, and instinctive drive, but also prone to impatience, aggression, and hasty decisions when not balanced. Since Mars itself creates Ruchaka Yoga, its strength directly defines the destiny of the native. However, for this yoga to fully manifest its highest potential, supporting planets, especially its dispositor and friends, must guide Mars's power toward disciplined and purpose-driven action rather than scattered or destructive force. Rule application, Kendra placement and dignity. In Aries Lagna, Ruchaka Yoga arises primarily when Mars occupies either the 1st house, Aries own sign, or 10th house, Capricorn exalted. In the 1st house, Mars rules both Lagna and the transformational 8th, producing an intensely independent and physically dynamic persona. In the 10th house, exalted Mars gains full directional strength, Digbala, bringing professional authority, career rise, and fearless execution of goals. Both placements allow the native to exhibit martial leadership, but their expression depends on the dignity of conjunctions and planetary influences involved. Mars, 1st and 8th Lord, in Aries, 1st house, fully unafflicted. Mars here functions at its natural best, fiery, courageous, physically robust, and with enormous drive to command situations. As Lagna Lord, Mars defines both personality and life path, while its rulership of the 8th house gives hidden reserves of survival strength and transformative ability. The native becomes a pioneer, military strategist, or risk-taker in enterprise. Absence of malefic affliction allows this pure Ruchaka yoga to create leaders who overcome adversity through bold self-direction. Benefic aspects from Jupiter or Moon provide ethical grounding and soften aggression. Mars, 1st and 8th Lord in Capricorn, 10th house, exalted and receiving Jupiter's aspect from Cancer, 4th house. Exalted Mars in the 10th gives unmatched career authority, executive power, and tireless ambition. Jupiter's aspect from Cancer infuses wisdom, ethics, and long-term vision into Mars's drive, elevating the native to respected leadership in governance, military, or corporate realms. The presence of Jupiter ensures that ambition does not become ruthless. Instead, it aligns with dharmic service and public welfare. This is a commanding Ruchaka yoga empowered by righteous purpose. Sun, 5th Lord, in Leo, 5th house, forming mutual trinal connection with Mars in Aries, 1st house. The Sun is 5th Lord in own sign. Leo strengthens the native's intellectual authority, leadership charisma, and natural ability to command followers. The mutual trinal link between Mars and Sun generates a royal and magnetic aura. This combination accentuates the Ruchaka yoga by merging physical courage, Mars, with sovereign confidence, Sun, often producing political, administrative, or entrepreneurial dominance. Jupiter, 9th and 12th Lord, in Sagittarius, 9th house, aspecting Mars in Aries, 1st house. Jupiter in own sign, Sagittarius forms a perfect trine with Mars in Aries, generating a Dharma Karma Raja Yoga overlay on Ruchaka Yoga. Jupiter's wisdom regulates Mars's impulsiveness, guiding the native toward law, justice, or ethical leadership. This combination elevates Mars's warrior nature into a protector of Dharma, ensuring long-term prosperity and social respect while fulfilling karmic responsibilities with integrity. Moon, 4th Lord, in Taurus, 2nd house, aspecting Mars in 8th aspect from Scorpio, 8th house. Moon exalted in Taurus brings emotional stability, wealth consciousness, and nurturing leadership. When positioned to aspect Mars from Scorpio, 8th house, the moon's softness tempers Mars's aggression, enhancing the native's resource management skills and emotional endurance. The individual commands both physical and emotional domains, leading with calculated strength and profound inner resilience. Mercury, 3rd and 6th Lord, in Aquarius, 11th house, forming sextile relation with Mars in Aries, 1st house. Mercury's analytical and communicative skills aid Mars's action-oriented approach. Positioned in the 11th house of gains and networks, Mercury empowers strategic alliances, effective speech, and tactical maneuvering. This subtle support refines Ruchaka yoga into intelligent command, making the native a calculated risk-taker with wide influence in organizational or commercial domains. Saturn, 10th and 11th Lord in Libra, 7th house, exalted and aspecting Mars in Aries, 1st house. Exalted Saturn brings structured discipline, patience, and legal acumen. Its opposition to Mars forces the native to balance ambition with responsibility. This Saturn-Mars interaction channels raw martial power into sustained, strategic growth. The native becomes capable of long-term empire building, corporate governance, or judicial leadership, with exceptional endurance and public accountability anchoring their rise. Rahu in Gemini, 3rd house, trinal to Mars in Aries, 1st house. Rahu amplifies Mars's daring and tactical aggression when well placed. In the 3rd house, Rahu fuels extraordinary courage, adventurous risk-taking, and bold communication. When harmonized with Mars's 1st house, Ruchaka Yoga, this creates military, athletic, or entrepreneurial figures unafraid to challenge norms and pursue ambitious conquests. However, without balancing benefic influences, it may lead to overconfidence or impulsive overreach. Ketu in Sagittarius, ninth house, conjoin Jupiter. Ketu in the ninth amplifies spiritual renunciation, while Jupiter provides wisdom. This combination, interacting with Ruchaka Yoga, can create warrior scholars or leaders who balance worldly authority with inner philosophical detachment. The native may rise to high office but remain detached from egoic attachment to power, aligning personal ambition with cosmic duty. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Ruchaka Yoga, Taurus rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Taurus ascendants, ruled by Venus, the planet of stability, wealth, and sensuality, the distinction between planetary strength, Mars's own sign, exaltation, Kendra positioning, and influence via dispositorship and supporting grahas becomes a dynamic balance between fixed values and assertive action. Taurus seeks material security, aesthetic comfort, and loyal partnerships. Yet Mars, as a naturally fiery graha, introduces force, competition, and ambition into this Earth-centered chart. Therefore, when Ruchaka Yoga arises for Taurus rising, its manifestation depends critically on how Mars's drive is integrated into Taurus's steadiness, and which planetary influences refine or destabilize its outward results. Rule application, Kendra placement, and dignity. For Taurus Lagna, Mars rules both the 7th house, Scorpio partnerships, public life, and 12th house, Aries, losses, spiritual surrender. Ruchaka Yoga arises if Mars occupies Scorpio, 7th house, own sign, or Capricorn, 9th house, exalted. While the 12th house rulership introduces karmic withdrawal tendencies, Mars in strength gives exceptional leadership ability in the public and professional spheres when correctly directed. The yoga's outcome is strongly shaped by whether benefic grahas aspect Mars to stabilize its power and direct it toward career, marriage, or spiritual legacy. Mars, 7th and 12th Lord, in Scorpio, 7th house, fully unafflicted. Mars in own sign, Scorpio in the 7th produces a commanding presence in relationships, public life, and professional negotiations. The native exudes magnetic authority, capable of securing powerful alliances and partnerships. While strong in leadership, if unafflicted, this Mars brings loyalty and transformative influence, allowing the native to navigate complex social or political fields with boldness and psychological acumen. The native may attain fame through diplomacy, legal mastery, or commanding professions. Mars, 7th and 12th Lord, in Capricorn, 9th house, exalted and aspected by Jupiter from Cancer, 3rd house. Exalted Mars in 9th house combines ambition with dharma. The native becomes a righteous enforcer of laws, traditions, or spiritual doctrines. Jupiter's benefic aspect from Cancer brings ethical wisdom and balances Mars's executive energy with higher moral guidance. This configuration may produce high-ranking officials, judicial leaders, or spiritual warriors who uphold both worldly and cosmic order. Ruchaka Yoga here leads to honors through ethical administration or philosophical authority. Venus, Lagna Lord, in Taurus, 1st house, forming a strong Lagna anchor. With Venus in its own sign in Lagna, the native gains charm, stability, and material grace. This strengthens Ruchaka Yoga by grounding Mars's fiery impulses, allowing the native to channel ambition into artful negotiations and well-managed leadership. Such individuals gain both wealth and public respect, often leading enterprises that blend profit with beauty or social harmony. Venus lends diplomacy to Mars's aggression. Jupiter, 8th and 11th Lord in Pisces, 11th house, trinal to Mars in Scorpio, 7th house. Jupiter's placement in own sign, Pisces, forms a powerful dharmic and financial amplifier to Mars. The trinal connection between Jupiter and Mars refines the Ruchaka Yoga, granting spiritual depth, long-term gains, and widespread influence. The native's authority expands into social organizations, charities, or public networks, combining Mars's leadership with Jupiter's wisdom and beneficence. Moon, 3rd Lord, in Cancer, 3rd house, forming Parivartana Yoga with Mars in Scorpio, 7th house. Moon in its own sign and house of courage directly strengthens through mutual exchange, creating a profound emotional anchor for the native's ambitious pursuits. This enhances communication skills, writing, and oratory. The individual may rise as a persuasive advocate, spiritual guide, or political figure, balancing emotional intelligence with calculated assertiveness. Mercury, 2nd and 5th Lord, in Virgo, 5th house, exalted and aspecting Mars in Scorpio, 7th house. Exalted Mercury brings analytical brilliance, financial management skills, and intellectual strategy. Its trinal relation to Mars supports sound decision-making, careful contract negotiation, and intelligent leadership. The native may succeed in legal, financial, or consulting professions where sharp analysis complements Mars's natural drive for victory. Saturn, 9th and 10th Lord in Capricorn, 9th house, conjunct exalted Mars. Saturn as Yoga Karaka for Taurus Lagna, placed with exalted Mars, intensifies discipline, ambition, and structured growth. This conjunction transforms Ruchaka Yoga into long-term institutional leadership. The native may lead corporations, governments, or religious organizations with unwavering focus and karmic authority. Saturn's maturity ensures Mars's ambition is controlled and constructive. Rahu in Virgo, 5th house, forming Kama Trikona with Mars in Scorpio, 7th house. Rahu amplifies Mars's boldness in creative and strategic domains. Positioned in 5th house, it enhances speculative gains, public speaking, and unconventional leadership approaches. Together with Mars, this can produce media personalities, political disruptors, or innovative strategists who command public fascination while driving institutional change. Ketu in Pisces, 11th house, conjoin Jupiter. Ketu's detachment in 11th, softened by Jupiter's expansive influence, allows the native to remain inwardly non-attached while achieving significant social and financial milestones. This pairing harmonizes with Ruchaka Yoga, producing a leader who gathers widespread followers or wealth, yet remains personally unentangled, often dedicating gains toward higher causes or dharmic service. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Ruchaka Yoga, Cancer rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Cancer ascendants ruled by the moon governing emotions, nurturing, and receptivity, the interaction between planetary strength, Mars's own or exalted dignity in Kendra and influence, conjunctions, aspects, dispositorship, creates a potent balance between inner sensitivity and external assertion. Cancer natives are naturally caring, emotionally intuitive, and driven by security concerns. The insertion of Ruchaka Yoga injects bold action, ambition, and a warrior's command into this otherwise protective framework. The key to actualizing this yoga lies in guiding Mars's aggression through emotional intelligence and dharmic responsibility. Rule application, Kendra placement and dignity. For Cancer Lagna, Mars rules the 5th house, Scorpio, intellect, progeny, creative power, and the 10th house, Aries, career, authority, karma. Ruchaka Yoga is formed when Mars occupies Aries, 10th house, own sign, or Capricorn, 7th house, exalted. Both positions allow Mars to express tremendous directional strength, digbala, and career authority. Here, Mars governs the native's destiny through ambition, public standing, and creative intelligence. The benefic or malefic influences upon Mars will determine whether this raw power becomes public glory or volatile aggression. Mars, 5th and 10th Lord in Aries, 10th house, fully unafflicted. Mars positioned in its own sign in Kendra, 10th house, grants supreme career authority, high status, and fearless ambition. As both 10th and 5th Lord, Mars fuses creativity with leadership, producing bold innovators, executives, or military figures who command respect. Without affliction, this pure Ruchaka Yoga allows the native to rise through strategic planning, entrepreneurial ventures, or administration, earning widespread recognition and lasting professional success. Mars, 5th and 10th Lord in Capricorn, 7th house, exalted and unafflicted. Exalted Mars in 7th house brings public prominence, strong alliances, and commanding leadership within partnerships. The native gains control over social networks, business collaborations, or political negotiations. Exalted Mars here brings charisma mixed with discipline, producing powerful public figures, diplomats, or marriage partners who are dominant, protective, and ambitious. If unafflicted, the native's reputation grows steadily through bold, calculated decisions in both career and personal domains. Moon, Lagna Lord, in Taurus, 11th house, exalted and trinal to Mars in Capricorn, 7th house. Exalted Moon forms a powerful wealth-creating alignment with Mars, providing emotional stability, financial acumen, and wide social support. The native combines personal magnetism with martial confidence, becoming a public leader with both nurturing instincts and fierce determination. This pairing promotes financial growth, widespread popularity, and long-term emotional resilience. Jupiter, 6th and 9th Lord, in Pisces, 9th house, own sign, aspecting Mars in Capricorn, 7th house. Jupiter's dharmic aspect infuses Mars's ambition with wisdom, ethics, and righteousness. The native emerges as a respected leader guided by higher principles, balancing ambition with moral clarity. This combination favors legal, spiritual, or political authority, allowing the native to command public respect while maintaining principled governance. Venus, 3rd and 11th Lord, in Taurus, 11th house, exalted, and in mutual association with Moon. Venus exalted in 11th enhances the native's social appeal, financial expansion, and aesthetic refinement. Its harmonious interaction with Mars empowers the native to build influential networks and capitalize on creative ventures. This placement supports business leaders, politicians, or celebrities who achieve both wealth and popularity through strategic collaborations and public charm. Mercury, 3rd and 12th Lord, in Gemini, 12th house, own sign, supporting Mars's public diplomacy. Mercury's strong placement enhances communication skills, foreign diplomacy, and behind-the-scenes planning. The native uses sharp intellect to navigate international affairs, confidential negotiations, or spiritual leadership roles. Mercury's flexibility refines Mars's aggression into well-timed strategic decisions, reducing impulsive missteps. Saturn, 7th and 8th Lord, in Libra, 4th house, exalted, aspecting Mars in Aries, 10th house. Exalted Saturn's aspect imposes discipline, patience, and karmic order upon Mars's bold 10th house authority. This combination creates structured leadership, long-term stability, and respect in legal, real estate, or government sectors. Saturn ensures that the native's power endures through strategic governance rather than rash conquest. Rahu in Aries, 10th house, conjunct Mars. Rahu's conjunction amplifies Mars's hunger for power, ambition, and risk-taking. This creates a dynamic career surge, potentially elevating the native to influential leadership roles or entrepreneurial ventures. However, without benefic checks, Rahu's amplification may invite ethical temptations or overextension. Proper guidance from Jupiter or Saturn stabilizes this explosive energy into transformative success. Ketu in Libra, 4th house, disposed by exalted Saturn Ketu, in 4th fosters detachment from emotional comforts while focusing the native on public achievements and external responsibilities. Disposed by exalted Saturn, Ketu anchors emotional discipline and inner detachment, allowing the native to lead without emotional entanglement. This contributes to the Ruchaka Yoga's ability to maintain power through inner resilience and public control. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Ruchaka Yoga, Leo rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Leo ascendants, ruled by the Sun, representing authority, ego, and personal brilliance, the interplay between planetary strength, Mars's own exalted sign in Kendra, and influence, dispositorship, aspects, conjunctions, sharpens the contrast between self-leadership and external command. Leo natives naturally gravitate toward leadership, creativity, and recognition. The infusion of Ruchaka Yoga adds military precision, assertive ambition, and fearless execution. For Leo, Mars becomes a vital engine of authority, but its full potential relies on whether wisdom and self-discipline govern the raw martial force. Rule application, Kendra placement and dignity. For Leo Lagna, Mars rules the 4th house, Scorpio, inner stability, property, emotional roots, and the 9th house, Aries, Dharma, fortune, higher knowledge. Ruchaka Yoga manifests when Mars occupies Aries, 9th house, own sign, or Capricorn, 6th house, exalted. Both positions empower Mars as a yoga karaka for Leo, making this one of the most favorable combinations among all ascendants. Mars not only delivers power, but also governs both fortune and inner strength. The presence of benefics alongside Mars determines whether this yoga evolves into noble leadership or ego-driven control. Mars, 4th and 9th Lord, in Aries, 9th house, fully unafflicted. Mars, positioned in its own sign in the 9th house, produces a fearless and dynamic leader rooted in Dharma. The native rises to prominence through merit, courage, and moral authority. This Ruchaka Yoga produces rulers, military generals, spiritual warriors, or high-ranking administrators. The 9th house placement allows Mars's aggression to express through righteous causes, expansive leadership, and honorable service. Without affliction, it creates a heroic and inspiring public figure. Mars, 4th and 9th Lord, in Capricorn, 6th house, exalted and unafflicted. Exalted Mars in 6th house generates unparalleled victory over enemies, competitors, and obstacles. This version of Ruchaka Yoga yields mastery in litigation, health professions, military command, or crisis management. The native gains respect for resilience, problem-solving, and their ability to dominate competitive environments. Exalted Mars in 6th for Leo Ascendant makes the person highly disciplined, health-conscious, and strategically superior. Sun, Lagna Lord in Aries, 9th house, conjunct Mars, Ruchaka Yoga. The union of Sun and Mars in Aries amplifies royal authority, natural leadership, and spiritual charisma. This combination merges the kingly Sun with the commander Mars, producing highly visible leaders who command both respect and devotion. Such natives become policymakers, kings, political leaders, or influential administrators with exceptional courage and executive power. Jupiter, 5th and 8th Lord in Sagittarius, 5th house, own sign, trinal to Mars in Aries, 9th house. Jupiter's placement in its own sign in the 5th forms a brilliant Dharma trikona link with Mars. This alignment infuses the native with higher wisdom, spiritual depth, and creative brilliance alongside bold action. It elevates Ruchaka Yoga into a combination of ethical leadership and intellectual mastery, leading to fame as a teacher, reformer, or benevolent authority figure. Moon, 12th Lord in Taurus, 10th house, exalted and aspecting Mars via Kendra link. Exalted Moon in 10th enhances the public image, emotional resilience, and career stability. The Moon's dignified placement supports Mars's ambition with charm and public appeal. The native rises through positions of high office, combining martial power with mass support, becoming a well-loved leader whose authority is emotionally accepted by the public. Venus, 3rd and 10th Lord, in Pisces, 8th house, exalted and trinal to Mars in Aries, 9th house. Exalted Venus adds artistic grace, diplomatic skill, and sensual refinement to Mars's aggression. The native skillfully balances ambition with aesthetic judgment, making them excellent negotiators, creative leaders, or influencers who command authority while maintaining public favor. The 8th house placement gives control over hidden wealth, inheritance, or occult knowledge. Mercury, 2nd and 11th Lord in Aquarius, 7th house, supporting Mars's public expression. Mercury in 7th house sharpens business acumen, speech, and public relations. The native utilizes intelligence and communication mastery to form alliances and negotiate advantageous contracts. Mercury's support refines Mars's boldness into carefully calculated decisions that enhance wealth and public authority. Saturn, 6th and 7th Lord, in Capricorn, 6th house, conjunct exalted Mars. Saturn's conjunction with Mars in own sign forms a strategic powerhouse of discipline, endurance, and mastery over enemies. The native dominates competitive fields through meticulous planning and tireless effort. Saturn grounds Mars's impulsive nature, converting it into unstoppable long-term growth in legal, military, or administrative domains. Rahu in Gemini 11th house, trinal to Mars in Aries 9th house. Rahu's ambition in 11th boosts Mars's drive for wealth, fame, and expansive networks. The native gains vast social influence, financial success, and political clout. If guided by Jupiter's wisdom, this combination produces highly successful reformers or empire builders. Without it, overambition may lead to political turbulence or controversies. Ketu in Sagittarius, 5th house, conjoined Jupiter. Ketu's detachment in the 5th, coupled with Jupiter's wisdom, allows the native to maintain humility despite success. The combination enhances intellectual sharpness, creativity, and spiritual insight, merging seamlessly with Ruchaka Yoga to create visionary leaders whose fame transcends personal ego, leaving lasting cultural or educational legacies. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Ruchaka Yoga, Libra rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Libra ascendants, ruled by Venus, which governs harmony, aesthetics, and diplomacy, the interaction between Mars's raw strength, own or exalted placement in Kendra, and planetary influence, dispositorship, aspects, conjunctions, sets up a vital contrast between aggression and refinement. Libra natives naturally seek balance, partnerships, and social order. Ruchaka Yoga introduces courage, drive, and ambition into this diplomatic framework. The full flowering of this yoga for Libra rising depends on how well Mars's assertive force is harmonized with Venusian grace and how supporting planets steer the ambition toward constructive leadership. Rule application, Kendra placement, and dignity. For Libra Lagna, Mars rules the second house, Scorpio, wealth, speech, family values, and seventh house, Aries, partnerships, public life, business. Ruchaka Yoga forms when Mars occupies Aries, seventh house, own sign, or Capricorn, fourth house, exalted. Both placements are powerful because Mars governs both finance and public partnerships, giving this Ruchaka Yoga an ideal blend of leadership through both personal relationships and social authority. Whether this combination leads to stable leadership or volatile alliances depends on the nature of conjunctions and aspects influencing Mars. Mars, second and seventh lord, in Aries, seventh house, fully unafflicted. Mars in its own sign in the seventh house empowers the native to dominate public life, marriage partnerships, and business negotiations. The individual exudes confidence, entrepreneurial courage, and strong negotiating power. In unafflicted form, this Ruchaka Yoga produces dynamic public leaders, skilled diplomats, or business tycoons who achieve success through bold, decisive alliances while maintaining personal authority and partnerships. Mars, second and seventh lord, in Capricorn, fourth house, exalted and unafflicted. Exalted Mars in fourth house establishes powerful control over real estate, governance, and domestic leadership. The native rises to prominent positions in politics, administration, or organizational management, securing assets, property, and institutional authority. This Mars placement grants excellent judgment in handling both personal and public matters with discipline and long-term planning. Venus, Lagna Lord, in Libra, first house, own sign, directly supporting Mars's expression. Venus in its own sign in Lagna grounds Mars's boldness with poise, charm, and aesthetic judgment. The native combines aggression with grace, becoming a highly respected leader, artist, or entrepreneur capable of commanding public admiration while skillfully managing conflicts. Venus stabilizes Mars's power into socially accepted leadership. Jupiter, third and sixth lord, in Sagittarius, third house, own sign, sextile to Mars in Aries, seventh house. Jupiter's placement in third house enhances courage, communication, and enterprise. Its supportive angle to Mars refines the native's daring into intelligent, ethical leadership, allowing for successful ventures in publishing, media, or advisory positions. This alignment enables the native to channel Ruchaka Yoga into courageous yet principled career advancements. Moon, 10th Lord, in Taurus, 8th house. Exalted, disposed by Venus. Exalted Moon provides emotional stability, executive insight, and the capacity to manage hidden wealth or joint resources. Disposed by Venus, Moon's energy stabilizes Mars's ambition into carefully managed financial growth and emotionally intelligent leadership. This placement supports high-level advisors, crisis managers, or financial executives. Mercury, 9th and 12th Lord, in Scorpio house, disposed by Mars. Mercury in Mars's sign ties the intellectual and philosophical dimensions of leadership directly to Mars's assertiveness. This placement supports wealth accumulation through intelligent risk-taking, inheritance, or diplomatic negotiation. The native becomes articulate and strategic, excelling in law, politics, or business counseling. Saturn, 4th and 5th Lord, in Capricorn, 4th house, conjunct exalted Mars. Saturn's conjunction with exalted Mars creates a powerhouse of controlled ambition, real estate authority, and institutional power. This disciplined blend allows the native to rise to top leadership positions, managing large organizations, governmental institutions, or corporate empires with exceptional foresight, patience, and strategic dominance. Rahu in Aries, 7th house, conjunct Mars. Rahu amplifies Mars's passion for public influence and partnerships. The native gains extraordinary ambition in business alliances, legal negotiations, or political influence. When properly managed, this conjunction creates globally recognized leaders. Without guidance, it risks overambition, volatile partnerships, or sudden legal entanglements. Ketu in Libra, first house, conjunct Venus. Ketu's detachment in Lagna, when supported by Venus, grants the native an aura of inner calm despite outer success. The person may maintain humility and self-restraint while achieving high public status. This combination stabilizes the Ruchaka Yoga, allowing the native to pursue success while remaining spiritually anchored and socially graceful. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Ruchaka Yoga, Scorpio rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Scorpio ascendants ruled by Mars itself, governing depth, intensity, secrecy, and transformation, The balance between Mars's strength, own or exalted dignity in Kendra, and planetary influence, aspects, dispositors, conjunctions, becomes deeply karmic. Scorpio is naturally fierce, strategic, and highly resilient. When Ruchaka Yoga arises, it magnifies Scorpio's innate qualities into powerful leadership, mastery over adversity, and sharp command of complex environments. The full outcome of this yoga hinges on whether Mars's power is elevated through ethical guidance or diverted into obsessive control. Rule application, Kendra placement, and dignity. For Scorpio Lagna, Mars rules both the first house, self, identity, physical body, and sixth house, conflicts, enemies, service. Ruchaka Yoga forms when Mars occupies Scorpio, first house, own sign, or Capricorn, third house, exalted. In this chart, Mars's rulership over self and daily battles merges personal authority with the ability to conquer challenges. Both placements make the native highly capable of dominating in adversarial environments, rising through courage, determination, and mastery over crisis. Mars, first and sixth lord in Scorpio, first house, fully unafflicted, Mars in own sign in Lagna creates an intense, commanding personality with exceptional physical stamina, survival instinct, and leadership charisma. The native exhibits enormous self-confidence and personal power, thriving in fields requiring courage, secrecy, and endurance. This pure Ruchaka Yoga produces warriors, surgeons, military officers, or crisis managers who succeed through personal resilience and fearless initiative. Mars, first and sixth lord, in Capricorn. Third house, exalted and unafflicted. Exalted Mars in third house grants dynamic initiative, fearless communication, and the ability to seize opportunities through bold decisions. The native becomes a master strategist, excelling in business, media, military intelligence, or competitive enterprises. This Ruchaka Yoga empowers courageous self-expression and produces highly capable individuals who dominate through calculated risk-taking and tactical mastery. Moon, ninth lord, in Taurus, seventh house, exalted and opposing Mars in Scorpio, first house. Exalted Moon in seventh house stabilizes Mars's aggressive energy through emotional balance, public grace, and wise partnerships. The native becomes a charismatic public leader, admired for both strength and emotional intelligence. This opposition fosters personal magnetism, popularity, and harmonious management of public or marital relationships. Jupiter, second and fifth lord, in Sagittarius, second house, own sign, sextile to Mars in Scorpio, first house. Jupiter in second house stabilizes wealth, speech, and family life, while empowering Mars's courage through dharmic wisdom. This configuration produces principled leaders who command resources with ethical clarity. The native gains both material prosperity and spiritual insight, rising as respected guides, educators, or financial authorities. Venus, 7th and 12th lord, in Pisces, 5th house, exalted and trinal to Mars in Scorpio, 1st house. Exalted Venus refines Mars's raw power with charm, creativity, and diplomatic grace. This trinal connection enhances romantic partnerships, artistic talent, and intellectual leadership. The native achieves fame through balanced leadership, combining bold action with aesthetic appeal and compassionate governance. Mercury, 8th and 11th lord, in Aries, 4th house, disposed by Saturn. Mercury in 4th house adds intellectual strategy in managing property, home, and leadership roles. The native excels in institutional management, real estate, or strategic negotiation. Mercury's analytical approach refines Mars's assertiveness into carefully executed long-term plans that enhance financial stability and political clout. Saturn, 3rd and 4th lord, in Capricorn, 3rd house, conjunct exalted Mars. Saturn's conjunction with Mars produces unshakable discipline, endurance, and mastery over competition. This configuration empowers long-term leadership in administration, military, or engineering fields. Saturn tempers Mars's aggression, ensuring consistent, strategic advancement and making the native highly respected for both strength and stability. Rahu in Aries, 6th house, disposed by Mars in Scorpio, 1st house. Rahu amplifies Mars's capacity for conflict mastery, making the native unstoppable in defeating adversaries or managing crises. With Mars's strong placement, the native rises in legal, military, or medical leadership roles where fearlessness and confrontation are assets. Proper guidance prevents unnecessary aggressiveness or entanglement in conflicts. Ketu in Libra, 12th house, disposed by Venus. Ketu's detachment in 12th house allows the native to remain inwardly unaffected by external gains. Disposed by exalted Venus, this placement grants spiritual depth, charitable inclination, and a balanced inner life despite outward power and ambition. The native may blend material success with higher spiritual or humanitarian purpose. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Ruchaka Yoga, Capricorn rising. Core principle, strength. For Capricorn ascendants, ruled by Saturn, representing discipline, structure, and long-term karma, the balance between Mars's strength, own exalted dignity in Kendra, and influence, aspects, dispositors, conjunctions, creates a foundation where ambition meets control. Capricorn natives are naturally determined, responsible, and strategic. When Ruchaka Yoga arises, it injects dynamic energy, leadership, and fearlessness into their already disciplined nature. The full expression of Ruchaka Yoga depends on how Mars's fire is tempered by Saturn's structure and how the supporting planetary framework guides its execution. Rule application, Kendra, placement, and dignity. For Capricorn Lagna, Mars rules the 4th house, Aries, property, home, emotional security, and 11th house, Scorpio, gains, networks, ambitions. Ruchaka Yoga forms when Mars occupies Aries, 4th house, own sign, or Capricorn, 1st house, exalted. Both placements position Mars as a central engine of karmic execution, combining material ambition with social authority. The nature of conjunctions and aspects determine whether this power yields enduring leadership or volatile struggle. Mars, 4th and 11th Lord, in Aries, 4th house, own sign, fully unafflicted. Mars in Aries' 4th house empowers the native with command over property, emotional stability, and institutional authority. The native may lead through government, real estate, infrastructure, or homeland-related matters, exhibiting firm leadership rooted in decisive control. This form of Ruchaka Yoga fosters strategic planners and powerful administrators with strong roots in both public and private sectors. Mars, 4th and 11th Lord, in Capricorn, 1st house, exalted and unafflicted. Exalted Mars in Lagna delivers supreme personal strength, health, and self-confidence. The native exhibits fearlessness, long-term vision, and the ability to conquer challenges directly. This placement makes them natural leaders, CEOs, military commanders, or high-ranking administrators capable of building lasting empires through their personal authority and work ethic. Saturn, Lagna Lord, in Capricorn, 1st house, conjunct exalted Mars. Saturn's conjunction with Mars produces one of the most disciplined and durable combinations in Vedic astrology. The native excels at mastering crises, executing long-term plans, and maintaining power across decades. This conjunction ensures that Mars's ambition is carefully directed, creating leaders who are both courageous and responsible, often achieving high rank after steady effort. Moon, 7th Lord in Taurus, 5th house, exalted and trinal to Mars in Aries, 4th house. Exalted Moon adds emotional maturity, creativity, and charm to Mars's assertiveness. The native becomes well-liked, possessing strong intuitive intelligence that aids leadership in education, governance, or creative industries. This combination helps maintain personal happiness and public approval while holding high positions of responsibility. Jupiter, 3rd and 12th Lord, in Sagittarius, 12th house, own sign, influencing Mars through dispositor relations. Jupiter in its own sign grants inner wisdom, ethical guidance, and expansive vision. Though occupying the 12th house, its influence supports international growth, spiritual development, and philanthropic leadership. It tempers Mars's aggressive edge, guiding the native to use power for larger, socially responsible causes. Venus, 5th and 10th Lord, in Pisces, 3rd house, exalted and sextile to Mars in Aries, 4th house. Exalted Venus refines Mars's assertive tendencies into harmonious leadership and diplomatic skill. As 10th Lord exalted, Venus enhances career visibility, artistic flair, and executive magnetism. The native rises to leadership that combines power with refinement, excelling in industries like luxury real estate, diplomacy, or creative administration. Mercury, 6th and 9th Lord, in Aquarius 2nd house, disposed by Saturn. Mercury sharpens communication, financial management, and decision-making. Its placement supports wealth accumulation and strategic speech, while Saturn's rulership anchors Mars's ambition with steady financial planning. The native excels in high-stakes negotiations, legal affairs, or financial leadership roles requiring sharp intellect and bold execution. Rahu in Aries, 4th house, conjunct Mars. Rahu amplifies Mars's authority in domestic, institutional, and national domains. The native may hold powerful positions in government, security, or real estate sectors. With guidance from benefic aspects, Venus, Jupiter, this combination produces ambitious reformers. Without balance, it risks overreach or sudden political controversies. Ketu in Libra, 10th house, disposed by Venus. Ketu in 10th provides detachment from fame while allowing professional mastery. Disposed by exalted Venus, it creates a leader who seeks meaningful accomplishment over personal recognition. The native may pursue high public office while maintaining humility, creating a karmically balanced leadership profile supported by ethical vision. Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, Ruchaka Yoga, Aquarius rising. Core principle, strength versus influence. For Aquarius ascendants ruled by Saturn, symbolizing social reform, discipline, and long-term structure, the balance between Mars's strength, own or exalted dignity in Kendra, and planetary influence, dispositorship, aspects, conjunctions, becomes a fusion of collective vision and decisive leadership. Aquarius natives are reformers at heart, driven by ideas, innovation, and humanitarian progress. Ruchaka Yoga adds courage, boldness, and executive will to this futuristic mindset. The yoga's full expression depends on how well Mars's aggression is integrated into Saturn's social mission and how the planetary framework refines its energy. Rule application, Kendra placement and dignity. For Aquarius Lagna, Mars rules the 3rd house, Aries, initiative, courage, communication, enterprise, and 10th house, Scorpio, career, authority, karma. Ruchaka Yoga forms when Mars occupies Aries, 3rd house, own sign, or Capricorn, 12th house, exalted. Because Aries and Scorpio do not fall into Kendra houses here, Aquarius ascendants do not form classical Ruchaka Yoga in its purest form based on Kendra rules. However, when Mars is exalted in the 12th house, its strength can still operate as a modified form of Ruchaka Yoga under special yogas where exaltation itself elevates the planet's power even outside the Kendras, especially with strong Lagna and benefic influences. Mars, 3rd and 10th Lord in Aries' 3rd house, own sign, fully unafflicted. Mars in Aries' 3rd house fuels exceptional courage, communication mastery, and fearless self-effort. The native becomes a bold initiator in fields requiring public speaking, media leadership, or entrepreneurial ventures. While not a classical Ruchaka Yoga, Kendra-based, this Mars placement still behaves with Ruchaka-like energy, producing individuals who succeed through bold communication, aggressive enterprise, and courageous self-promotion. Mars, 3rd and 10th Lord, in Capricorn, 12th house, exalted and unafflicted. Exalted Mars in 12th house grants mastery in foreign affairs, spirituality, hidden operations, or large institutions. This modified form of Ruchaka Yoga produces leaders who excel behind the scenes, military strategists, researchers, foreign diplomats, or heads of international organizations. The native may quietly amass influence and wealth while remaining detached from public limelight. Strong support from Saturn and Jupiter stabilizes this hidden power. Saturn, Lagna Lord in Aquarius, 1st house, own sign, governing Mars's expression. Saturn's strength in Lagna anchors Mars's aggression into long-term strategic vision. The natives' disciplined approach allows them to harness courage for social reforms, political leadership, or technological innovation. Saturn ensures that Mars's boldness serves collective good rather than personal ego, creating stable leadership with humanitarian depth. Moon, 6th Lord, in Taurus, 4th house, exalted and disposed by Venus. Exalted Moon offers emotional stability, domestic harmony, and strong inner security. Its position supports Mars's drive with resilience and intuitive leadership, allowing the native to command authority while balancing personal and public responsibilities. Emotional intelligence enhances public trust in the native's leadership. Jupiter, 2nd and 11th Lord, in Sagittarius, 11th house, own sign, aspecting Mars in Aries' 3rd house. Jupiter's aspect empowers Mars's communication, networking, and social impact. The native becomes a visionary leader capable of mobilizing large groups, securing financial success, and building extensive alliances. This Jupiter-Mars synergy fosters leaders in politics, media, or global organizations who blend courage with wisdom. Venus, 4th and 9th Lord in Pisces, 2nd house, exalted and sextile to Mars. Exalted Venus enhances financial prosperity, refined speech, and aesthetic leadership. As a yoga karaka for Aquarius, Venus amplifies the native's ability to attract wealth, public admiration, and moral authority. The combination of Mars's courage and Venus's charm creates charismatic reformers, educators, or international negotiators. Mercury, 5th and 8th Lord. In Pisces, 2nd house, conjunct Venus, Mercury refines the native's intellect, financial strategy, and oratory skills. Its conjunction with exalted Venus sharpens financial intelligence while supporting Mars's assertive communication. The native excels in leadership roles that combine analytical prowess, courage, and persuasive diplomacy. Rahu in Aries, 3rd house, conjunct Mars. Rahu magnifies Mars's drive for bold communication, daring ventures, and aggressive enterprise. When guided by Jupiter and Venus, this combination produces fearless innovators, global reformers, or cutting-edge entrepreneurs. Unchecked, it may lead to restlessness, overextension, or controversial decisions requiring ethical grounding. Ketu in Libra, 9th house, disposed by Venus. Ketu's detachment in the 9th house cultivates spiritual maturity and detachment from rigid belief systems. Disposed by exalted Venus, it balances the native's ambition with higher wisdom, producing philosophical reformers, teachers, or visionaries who lead without attachment to personal recognition while guiding others toward greater collective evolution.